Hello again. Today we're going to talk about the writing process for Yellow Peril, which is pretty primitive, just like most of the other things I've been doing with the comic. It's all on paper. I don't even do any digital touch-ups except for some color correction and getting rid of some dust and stuff. And so the writing process takes place all in real time with pen and paper and this stupid little journal. So we'll switch views. For that, here is a sneak peek at the cover illustration that I'm working on. This is a lot different than what you normally see out of the comic. Trying to do some realism here. And then let me show you the thumbnail sketch. Look at this is my workspace. It's fucking messy as shit. But anyway, so here's kind of a sketch. There's Kane being smushed in with all these people, and I kind of wanted to do him in a realistic style to make him a focal point, and then the train is going to be done digitally, and then these people are going to be drawn on a separate sheet of paper and inked like I normally do the comic, so it'll make the realistic Kane illustration stand out there. And yes, he is kind of based on me without the beard, so but yes, back to the writing process. So here is the magical book. This has all of my writings for Yellow Peril. I actually bought this originally to do some Aikido notes, and you can see all this kind of stuff. This is old Aikido notes. I didn't get very far, as you can tell. Let's see, where is the actual comic? Ah, here we go. Okay, so this is how I write the comic. It's all thumbnails, dialogue balloons. These are primitive sketches. You could just see like the stick figures. Just small borders, all this kind of stuff. And I chose to write this small and draw this small and thumbnail this small because I figured it would force me to economize my dialogue and not babble. Which doesn't always end up being the case. Sometimes, like in this segment here, most of the dialogue fills up the border. So I try to economize my dialogue. It doesn't always work out. You can see these early strips. I didn't bother numbering them, which kind of became a pain in the butt. So I started around here. I started actually numbering the strips. Every once in a while there'll be huge sections that I cut. Let me see if I can get to the place. There was supposed to be this huge backstory about the pit lords when Kane went to pick up his computer again, but I cut that section because it was too dark for what I'm doing with the comic. I don't see if I can get it here. This is all messy. This is all terribly organized, you see. Where is it? This is that section. No, it's not. Yes, it is. This is kind of that section. So here are things that I cut, like I cut out most of this stuff here, this stuff here. Well, you can't really see it, but I cut out a lot of stuff. I cut like 2 or 3 weeks worth of strips because it just didn't fit. And the sucky thing is it took me a month to kind of get to the point where I was ready to write that stuff. So sometimes you just gotta cut when it doesn't make any sense. The other thing that I try to keep in mind is the flow of dialogue. So in Western comics we read left to right, and so I try to make sure that all the word balloons flow from left to right, generally at this top section of the comic. So it's a little difficult for blocking because sometimes I want to put the speaker to the right, the first speaker to the right, and then I have to draw these weird funny balloon arrows. So what I try to do with every comic is make sure that the person who is speaking first is on the left. And this, in a movie you can kind of get away with blocking more naturally in terms of, blocking is kind of the placement of the people in your scene. So in a movie it doesn't matter who speaks first because there are no word balloons, and word balloons don't dictate the direction of the dialogue. But in comics, that's something you have to keep in mind. So if you go back and look through Yellow Peril, you'll see that most often the the speaker, the person on the leftmost corner or the leftmost edge of a frame is the first person to speak. So you'll see that's one of the things that I try to do. When it doesn't work out that way, then you have these funny, I don't have an example of it here, I should have planned this better, but you'll have dialogue stacked up on top of each other, like the person on the right, if the person on the right is the first person to speak, then their dialogue bubble is stacked on top of the second one, and so you read top down. So in Western comics we read left to right, top down, so that's how I get away with that when I want to block things differently. But yeah, so this is where the comic is written. I write the comic on my way to and from work because I find that is when I'm most in the mind to write about office and business situations, when I'm about to head into the breach or coming home from the breach. And generally I try to stay a week or two ahead. When I was first drawing the comic, I was actually drawing the comic 3 to 5 weeks ahead, so I actually had strips in the can. But as you can see now, these are the comics for this week. I just finished lettering them and I'm taking a break so I can rest my hands. So I generally letter all the comics for the week on Sunday, and then I'll go in and pencil and ink the comic for Monday on Sunday. And then Monday night and Tuesday night is when I'll finish the other ones. So this is a pretty crappy journal. I use a, this is the High-Tech C. High-Tech C, a brown High-Tech C. It's a High-Tech C, ooh, here we go. High-Tech C is very thin point or pen, so I can fit in a whole bunch of lines in this small space. So, but yeah, that's how I write the comic. The biggest problem with doing things by hand and writing out dialogue by hand and lettering by hand is my spelling. My spelling is terrible. So I try my best to check out long words that I might have a problem with and don't look right. So, but other than that, yeah, that's it. Everything's done by hand. Writing by hand, inking, lettering, coloring by hand. It's all old school shit. So there you go. Hope this was helpful. And if you have a more efficient, better way of writing comics and dialogue and things like that, please let us know. Drop a comment or do a response video in the YouTubes, however you do it. And thanks for watching, and I'll check you later. Bye.